Yeah, hello students. Okay, so in the previous video, we discussed about why first of all why insectivorous plants are also called partial heterotrophs, and secondly I was telling you about the fungi or the fungi. Okay, so like as I told you, on a bread you can observe how do they grow. Okay, in a huge mass, into a huge mass, and then you can see that mass. Now I'll like to tell you how do they look like when you see them under the microscope, because obviously they are microscopic, we cannot see them with naked eyes. Fungi is one such group of organisms, okay, which can be both microscopic as well as macroscopic. As I told you, micro means small and macro means big. Okay, so in case of micro, we need microscope to view those organisms like bacteria and certain other fungi. Macro means big, we can see them from our naked eyes. So microorganisms, when they grow into a huge number, okay, we can see them with our naked eyes, right? Alright, and I was telling about mushrooms is a kind of fungi, which they are not plants, they are fungi which are saprotrophs. They are I'm so sorry. They are saprotrophs because they are not plants, they are fungi only. So fungi is one such group of organisms which contain not just microscopic but also macroscopic organisms. Okay, and I was telling you about the bread mold. Okay, so I'll be sharing the picture of it. On this portion. You see this outgrowth. Okay, so these are the bread mold. Now there is a scientific name for this bread mold, this organism. Okay, it's a kind of fungi. Okay, what we call it? We call it rhizopus. Okay, rhizopus. Don't get confused between rhizopus and rhizobium. Okay, these two are different. This is the nitrogen fixing bacteria in legumes, whereas this is the saprotroph. It's a saprotroph. So you can say this is an example of saprotroph. Okay, or the bread mold. I hope it's clear now. Okay, so in both of these, the first letter is capital and both of these are underlined. Okay, so these are the scientific names. So the bread mold is also called as rhizopus. Now I'd like to tell you what does the word rhizo mean. Both in rhizopus as well as rhizobium, what does rhizo mean? There is one thing common. What do you think rhizo means? Rhizo means root. Okay, so these organisms, root of plants. Okay, so these organisms, they live around the roots of the plants. Okay, suppose this is a plant, this is a tree, and there are the roots. This is the soil. Okay, this is the soil and these are the roots. So you will find these organisms like here. So these are the roots and they lie near the roots. Okay, they lie near the roots. So the word rhizo has been used. Not just that, the region or the place, we call region, 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 or the place around the roots of a plant. Okay, it's called rhizosphere. You must have learnt in geography about atmosphere, then lithosphere. Lithos means land. Okay, lithos. Then a biosphere, right? Stratosphere, exosphere, all of these. Rhizosphere is also one such area or the region. Okay, region around the roots of a plant. Okay, so around the roots of a plant, this entire region, this is a plant, suppose. So these are the roots. Okay, so this entire region is called rhizosphere. And those organisms, rhizosphere, those organisms which reside around this region are usually their word start like their name starts from rhizo, meaning roots, near roots. They reside near, or they are in close contact with the roots. Either they reside in the rhizosphere or they are in close contact with the roots, as I'll be explaining you further. Okay, so I hope this is understood. Now we have finished about learning about fungi, saprotrophic nutrition, saprotrophs. Okay, now I'll give you a brief idea of how does the basically how do the okay we'll do one thing. We'll keep it this much for now. Okay, and tell me if you are comfortable. I can finish up the chapter today, otherwise I'll be extending it till Monday. So shall I continue it now or shall I wait? If you are comfortable, I hope it is not too much for you all, though there are not many questions from this section of the chapter, but I had to explain you, and so it is taking time. Okay, we can't simply discuss, right? So I had to explain you. See, okay, I'll be just elaborating one more thing here. Okay, now we'll be talking about symbiosis. I told you one thing before, symbiosis. Okay, what does the word symb means? Anywhere when you see the word symb, SYMBIOSIS, sym means together. Okay, together. When if I say an organism, as I told you in the previous videos also, an organism is interacting or is in relationship with another organism. Okay, so all these types of nutrition in heterotrophic nutrition, like in parasitic mode, in saprotrophic mode, so all these are types of heterotrophic nutrition in which one organism is dependent upon the other. Okay, for its nutrition requirement. Okay, so here we are talking about two organisms. So it's like there is an interaction we call as interaction going on. Interaction means, for example, something is going on, something is getting exchanged, or something is like getting transported between these two organisms. So that is what we call as interaction. Okay, it can also mean exchanging something, or just one organism is taking something out. In parasitic mode, only one organism is sucking or everything, like a mosquito is sucking the blood and Cuscuta is taking all the nutrients. So it's interacting. Okay, in some and in saprotrites only the saprotrophs are getting the nutrition. Okay, so basically, but there is something going on, right? From one organism to another, something is happening. Okay, now very simple. Now this is suppose organism A, this is organism B. Okay, now when we talk of symbiosis means interaction between two organisms. Okay, or their relationship, like for example when they live close together. Okay, and they share both shelter and nutrients. Okay, they are living in a same place, they are in close contact with each other. Okay, and they are sharing shelter and nutrition. Basically, in a textbook it's mentioned shelter or nutrition, but in this case it does not apply to every kind of symbiotic relationship. So if I'm talking of symbiosis is a kind of relationship between two organisms. Okay, where there is an interaction between two organisms. Now why have I drawn the arrows pointing opposite directions? It means these arrows could either be this way, either I could just draw the lower one, okay, or I could draw just the upper one. I could just like draw it like this. Yes, so either it could be like this or it could be both as well. Now what does it mean? As I told you, in case of parasites and saprotrophs, it's only one-sided. That means only one organism is acquiring nutrition and the other one is either getting harmed, or in case of parasites, and or is either in case of parasitic mode of nutrition, or is not getting affected at all, as in case of saprotrophic mode of nutrition. Okay, so but the other organism is definitely not getting any benefit. Either it's getting harmed or it's not getting affected at all, right? So in that case it's one-sided. So that's why the arrow will be only one pointing towards one. So if this is suppose a parasite, this could be either a parasite or a saprotroph. Am I right? Okay, now when I draw the arrow in both the directions, what does it mean? This is A, this is B. Okay, when I draw the arrow in both the directions, it means that A is also gaining something from B and giving something to B as well. Okay, this is both giving and taking and giving. So it's also giving something and also taking something. This arrow means giving because it's like from A to B, and this arrow means taking, means A is also taking from B, right? In exchanging something, right? So similarly, B is also, this is taking for B, this is taking for B, and this is giving for B, right? So B is giving to A and also getting or taking from A, receiving from A, right? So it is a mutual means both are benefiting. Okay, both are benefiting. None of them is losing anything or none of them is getting harmed. Okay, both are benefiting, and in this case we can say that both are sharing nutrients and shelter. This is and short form, shelter. Because in this case A and B are obviously they are sharing shelter in both the cases, in all the cases I mean, because there is close contact in all the cases. So in this case we can say that they are sharing the same shelter. Okay, but in case of nutrients, they are also sharing nutrients with one another. They are exchanging nutrients with one another. In case of parasites and saprotrophs, nutrients are not exchanged. It's just a one-sided thing. Okay, and there is not, the shelter is not for both of them. It's just for the saprotroph or the parasite. It is getting shelter, of course, but the other one is not getting any shelter, right? So in this case, particularly in this mutual case, okay, mutual case or symbiosis, symbiotic, basically these are called symbiotic relationships. Symbiotic relationships. What does a relationship mean? Like interaction between two organisms is a relationship, which we call as rishta also in Hindi. Okay, what kind of interaction are they doing in amongst themselves, like two organisms? Okay, why we call it symbiotic? Sim means, as I told you, what does sim mean? Together. Okay, biotic you already know, something living. If you're talking of living, okay, that to get the living, okay, two or like one organism or both of them are coming in close contact to each other for to sustain their life. Okay, sustain means to survive. They need food, they need nutrients to live, right? The mosquito needs blood to give birth, as I told you before also. Okay, it needs blood. So and unless it will get the blood, it won't be able to give birth, so it won't be able to survive in that case. Okay, so to live, to survive, when two organisms come in close contact with each other, okay, then it's called a symbiotic relationship. Symbiotic relationship. Okay, now as I told you, symbiotic relationship could be either one-sided or both the sided. It could be either this, it could be either this, or it could be this as well. Okay, this is A and this is B. Okay, so all these three are kind of symbiotic relationships. Symbiotic relationships. I hope it's clear now. Okay, now as I told you about, I was telling you about legumes, right? So in case of legumes, as I told you, rhizobium is a kind of nitrogen fixing. Fixing means getting nitrogen. Okay, Fixing means getting nitrogen from atmosphere. So as I told you before also that the nitrobacters or rhizobium, see, I can't say that rhizobium is a kind of nitrobacter. No, it's a different type of bacteria. It's not a nitrobacter. Okay, but it is also nitrogen fixing bacteria, and nitrobacters are also nitrogen fixing bacteria. Okay, so they fix or they get nitrogen from the atmosphere and convert it into plant friendly compounds, which can be plant friendly nitrogen, which can be absorbed by the roots of the plants. Okay, so rhizobium is a nitrogen fixing bacteria, right? Now it occurs in close contact with the roots of the legume or leguminous plants. You can either call them simply legumes, or you can call them leguminous. Okay, just remember, you must have learned about luminous and non-luminous in your lower classes. Luminous flame, non-luminous flame, right? Just the same spelling. Luminous की जगह leg, ये EG, luminous की जगह LEG कर दो, leguminous. ओके, luminous की जगह leg लगा दो, luminous वही रहेगा, leg आ जाएगा. Leguminous plants or legumes, both are correct, but it's better if you write leguminous plants for proper definition. So rhizobium occurs in close contact with leguminous plants, okay, and it fixes nitrogen for leguminous plants and helps them absorb nitrogen from their roots. Okay, so we can say that the leguminous plants, basically it forms a close relationship, it forms a close contact with the roots of the plant. These are the roots, okay, and these are the rhizobium bacteria. They reside inside the roots basically. As I told you, in case of Cuscuta also, what it does is basically it's a cell to cell contact. Suppose this is the stem cells, the cells of the plant's stem, okay, and these are the Cuscuta cells. Okay, so there is a close contact occurring. Close contact is occurring, only then the exchange can occur, transport of nutrients can occur. Am I right? Okay, so similarly the rhizobium also, suppose, just think that okay, so suppose this is the root, the cells of the root, okay, and these are the bacteria. This is first, second, third, fourth, 4 bacterial cells, or 4 bacterial cells of rhizobium, right? So now these are in close contact with the roots of the plant. Now they will fix nitrogen from atmosphere and give it to the roots of the plant. Okay, from atmosphere they'll fix nitrogen. Okay, and the what do the roots do in turn? Now in this kind of a relationship, the roots are not getting harmed. Okay, they are getting benefited because they're getting nitrogen. Okay, so leguminous plants, they're like protein rich plants which give dal and all of that. Okay, protein based foods, soya bean and all of that. So all of these are legumes which are protein rich, and nitrogen is the main component or main raw material for protein. Without nitrogen, protein cannot be made. So nitrogen is the main component of any protein. Okay, so the roots are getting benefited from nitrogen. Now what are the roots in turn giving to the rhizobium? What are the roots in turn giving? Okay, any guesses? It is giving food and shelter. Food and shelter as means the nutrients, basically sugar is a main nutrient. Okay, and of course shelter also, because here is a rhizosphere, this whole must be the rhizosphere, okay, the region around the roots, and here is the rhizobium residing in close contact with the roots. So of course they give sugar and shelter to the rhizobium, right? So means the plant is also protecting the rhizobium, it's also gaining nutrients, and it's also giving nitrogen to the roots in turn. So it is like, it's not a one-sided thing. it's like from both the sides. This is the plant roots, okay, and this is the rhizobium cell, rhizobium bacterial cell. Okay, so like both of them, it's like a mutual means दोनों तरफ से, म्यूचुअल दोनों तरफ से हो रहा है, ठीक है, दोनों तरफ से अदला बदली हो रही है, एक चीज़ ले रहा है दूसरी चीज़ दे रहा है, the other organism is also taking one thing and giving other thing. Okay, so it's like a mutual thing, taking and giving and taking, so it's a mutual thing. Okay, so it's a kind of mutual symbiosis or symbiotic relationship. Symbiosis, mutualism or symbiosis, it's a mutual relationship between the plant and the mutual symbiotic relationship between the plants and the rhizobium. I hope it's clear. Okay, that's all for now.